I'm out today with the SL3 and the 90-280, just taking some bird photos, which got me thinking about a question I got asked a little while ago, but I didn't really have a very good answer for it, so have had to think about it and thought I'd share my thoughts today. This question I got asked at a job interview maybe a year or two ago, and they said, what do you want out of life? I thought it was quite a... We've got a few bird friends over here. I don't know if you can hear through the mic. They're pretty loud. I thought it was quite an odd question for a job interview, but I didn't have a good answer, and I thought, what do I want out of life? I think for a lot of people, it's all about, making certain career milestones and retiring early, getting lots of money. I think, while I definitely do want to hit certain career milestones that I have, for me, the main thing I want out of life, I would say, would be just the overall enjoyment. Like, I don't want to spend 40 to 50 years being miserable so that I can have 40 to 50 good years. I would rather work towards my goals, but make the most of what I've got right now, So that's actually a great thing I love about photography is it is a great way to kind of enjoy what I've got and kind of keep me feeling good. I think it's very easy, especially these days with how stressful certain aspects of our lives can be, to get caught up and kind of get sucked into a little narrow, vicious cycle of not having a great day after not having a great day, which makes our next day not so great. And so I think it's very important to have hobbies. I think photography is a great hobby for a few reasons. It doesn't necessarily have to be your main hobby, but I would recommend that you have one kind of main hobby, which is where you can spend a bit more in your discretionary funds and put a lot of effort into, and then a few kind of other hobbies that are not quite as important but still give you something great to do. I'll talk a little bit more on that a bit later. But the reason I'm using photography for an example is because that's what I do. I also do make money off of my photography on the side, but that's a separate thing. Before COVID, I did shoot weddings and events, but now it's more things like fine art prints. But the kind of enjoyment aspect of it is still the same for me. And I think photography, first off, the downsides, it can be very expensive to get into, especially if you want to do something like wildlife photography. Setups like telephoto lenses and the cameras that can handle focusing on animals, especially like birds and fast-moving animals, can get very expensive. But once you can get past that point, I think there are some really beneficial areas to it that I think a lot of people can really get a lot out of. So first thing that I really love is it encourages you to get out, go take photos, be active. It can be very easy to just get trapped inside your house or where you're living and not leave. And I think that going out and getting outside of your comfort zone a bit can really help you with your overall way that you're feeling. Like sometimes when I'm having a bad morning, if I have the day off, I'll start off with a nice cup of coffee, then head out and go and take some photos. Probably can't see because of all the trees, but it's very overcast today, quite dark. It's 12:30 and the sky is very dim. It's very cloudy. Probably will rain soon. Excuse the cough. I just had COVID recently, and apparently the cough lasts for 6 weeks. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, like I have a friend who would look at the weather today, say it's really depressing weather and that it sucks. But if it was raining, like raining, I might use that as an example to go out to the city and take some really cool street photos, because I love the look of the streets when it's raining, and you get like those lovely puddles on the ground, kind of reflections, or you might have really interesting lights, like car lights, street lights. I hope that was not bird poop. No. You get a really interesting look, and it gets you outside and enjoying that experience while the weather might not necessarily be great. Second thing from that is actually on the community side of things. I think it's very important to interact with other people. I think, again, especially nowadays, people are often very introverted. And I think that sometimes you need a reason to want to spend more time with people and interact with more people, or you might just not have many friends. And it's a great way to meet more people that you share a hobby with and kind of grow like that. Like, I think it's very easy for some people in the photography space to get very caught up on gear and specs and like comparing what they've got to what other people have. It's the same problem I have with watch collecting as a hobby. I really like watches. I don't really like I've got this watch that's better than that watch mentality. I much prefer the kind of like appreciating the mechanisms and the build that goes into that. That's a topic for another day. But going back to photography, give me one sec. Nice. Lots of birds here, like I mentioned. But the thing I love about photography with its community is that there are a lot of people that really care about photography and the art behind it. And you might meet some people, like you might be just starting out in photography, and you might meet some people that are very experienced, and you might share your photos with them and say, hey, I don't like the way this looks, or I do like the way this looks, and kind of get their feedback, their interest. And a lot of people are always really happy to kind of help out and share their experiences, which I think is excellent. I think it's great for your mental health, and it's great for kind of building some great long-lasting friendships. I have a really good friend who is a watch photographer, and we started out just talking because we both use Leica cameras, and I, at the time, was just about to start working in a Swiss watch place, and the fact is I knew nothing about watches at the time, and he kind of helped me with learning about the watches, but also taught me about how to photograph watches and that whole aspect with the macro photography, looking at reflections and distortion on small pieces, things like that. And I thought that was a really great learning experience for me. And the reason he was happy to do that was because he was so passionate about it. And I think that is something that really helped me, not just with that, but also with my working in the watch industry and kind of understanding the whole field, really. And I think this is something that you can all kind of share in. If you share your passion and you show that you're interested, and always just like, if you don't know someone, be nice to them, because they could be having just as bad a day as you are. So sometimes when you're nice to a stranger, that makes their day better, and maybe it'll make your day better too. Talked a little bit about photography, but I do think one other aspect that I really love about it is that it is a skill that you're learning. So having a hobby that is a skill that you're learning, could be photography, it could be, something where you're making something like pottery. Basically, I think it's very helpful for you because you can not only compare and see your progress, but at the end of it, you have something potentially beautiful and amazing that you can share with people. Like if I compare my bird photos from like even last year to this year, like I look at it and go, wow, my photography, I think I've really improved with that. And I can, with my photos now, make these big prints that fill up an entire wall and look stunning. And I feel really accomplished with my, sorry, COVID cough again. I feel really accomplished with what I've done, and I feel like it's something every time I look at it, I feel good inside. And I think that is something that is really, really underestimated in how much of an impact it makes. But going back to that skill thing, I think sometimes you can also incorporate like other hobbies that may not necessarily cost as much. So like, for example, I am really into coffee, and I have a machine at home. Obviously that was a big expense for me up front. I decided not to go for a super high-end machine because I didn't want to just be spending lots and lots of money on everything. So I went for a La Pavoni, which is like a lever machine, because it meant I could steam milk and pull at the same time, but it wasn't a dual boiler, which cost thousands and thousands of dollars. And the great thing about that is I feel very involved with it, and I feel quite, there was definitely a big learning curve with it. But now whenever I pull a coffee and it tastes amazing, I feel really accomplished with that. And I think that's something that doesn't cost a lot. I can do it every day. It builds a bit of a routine for me as well. But the big thing is that it's something that I can just do, especially like if I'm waking up and feeling like I don't want to get out of bed, I can go. But if I do get out of bed, I can make a nice coffee. And that's something that I think makes that a really great kind of like secondary hobby that I pop in as something else that I like. And, you know, sometimes like looking at it, you can look at the impact it has on your life. Like, for example, I wouldn't necessarily call it a hobby, but like I do go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week. I haven't recently because of the COVID thing and the, you know, heart rate going really crazy after COVID. Don't know if you've ever experienced that. But the great thing about that is, again, some routine. You do meet some people there, but the big thing is that it has a positive impact on you and the way that you look at and feel about yourself. I mean, obviously I don't go super hard at the gym, but the fact that I go there, I feel a bit more accomplished about it, and it kind of helps with the way that you perceive yourself, which I think is really important. And now, obviously, quite a few of the things that I mentioned, they all do cost money. You do need to factor in how much you're making, how much you can afford to spend. Like, for example, whenever I get paid, I have a few different savings accounts. Like I have one account where I put all of my kind of expenses and stuff. Then I have my big main saving account, which is going towards my house deposit. And then I've got a few other ones, like I have one where I just put a little bit away each time for like taking my wife out on a trip, you know, doing something nice like that, giving her a holiday. Just whenever I have spare cash, I like to put a little bit away, and then, you know, you can do something nice every few months, something like that. Then I have one for like my big purchases, which is stuff like this, or, you know, like a motorcycle or you know, a car when we decide to upgrade that, you know, big stuff. And then I got another one for some smaller things, like, you know, if you want to get concert tickets or things like that, something where it's not something that you just get out of your regular pay, but something that, you know, is a nice thing that you might want to do. And I think budgeting is very important. I'm not going to go too much into that because there are so many more experienced people with a list like that, but I think that it is very important to kind of look at where you are and try to make the most of it. I think especially like going back to the house, like at the beginning of the video I was talking about, I don't want to spend 40, 50 years miserable so that I can have 40, 50 years, great. Just because I'm saving for a house deposit doesn't mean that my current place has to suck. So often if I have a day off, I might look at small things I can do to improve where I'm at right now. Like obviously right now I don't have a lot of space and I have to share with other people, but the thing is that just because I don't have a lot of space and have to share with other people doesn't mean I have to hate it. And so sometimes, like even if the other people are really frustrating me, sometimes doing something nice for them can actually mean that when I have something that I really care about that I want to change, I can be a lot more receptive to that. Or sometimes if I do have something that's, you know, my fault that I want to change, I can look at it, I can go, how much is it going to cost me in money, but also time, and then how much of an impact will it have? And even if the impact's small, but it's going to last for a very long time, I think it's easy to underestimate how much adding up or lots and lots of little things that work together nicely actually makes a difference. Here. But yeah, even like in all aspects of your life, like I probably won't go too much in depth on work, but I do think that you spend a lot of time there, so trying to enjoy it as much as you can is a good idea. Like I am lucky that I actually really enjoy my work, and so things like sometimes I'll have quite long shifts, you know, like sometimes I will do 11-hour shifts or things like that, but the thing is that's my choice, and because I enjoy working there and I put myself forward to do that, I, you know, get paid extra for it because it's 11 hours, and I do feel like I get something out of it. If I didn't enjoy it and didn't feel like I was getting anything out of it, I wouldn't be doing that. But the big thing is like trying to get along with your coworkers, trying to, again, going back to that whole be nice to other people, because even if you're really annoyed at them and you might not like them, might not get along with them, sometimes if you're nice to them, then they might be a bit nicer to you. It's like, we never know what other people are going through, and so maybe the person that's like really grouchy all the time at work might be, I don't know, going through a divorce or something, and you being nice to them might kind of help them get through that, and then they might be a lot more receptive to your suggestions in the workplace, that kind of thing, you know? And so I guess fundamentally, like where I'm going to go with this channel, I'm going to probably move away from product reviews, that kind of thing, and focus more on hobbies. I might interview some people that are quite far ahead in their career. Might do like get other people's perspectives on things and how we can improve on that. And maybe kind of like just focusing on overall improving your life, because I think that thinking about where we are and where we want to be, I think that it is very important to try to make the most of what we've got while still working towards what we want, and not letting what we want get in the way of what we've got. So next video will probably be on something like photography, but I guess we'll have a look and see. One sec.